Hello there, this is DJS, coach of the Tentacle Pirates, and welcome to week 1 of PAC Wi-Fi season 3. Our week 1 opponent is Squid, coach of the Lisbon Arcanines. So I put our matchup over here. So our opponent has a Baxcalibur, King Gambit, Sylveon, Rotom, Quagsire, Scyther, Toxtricity, Appleton, Phalanx, and a Grumpig. So my opponent has quite a few threats here, mostly the Baxcalibur and King Gambit, but both of them are physical, and I think I have the ways to deal with them. He also has some special threats, but most of them will need to do some setup before they can deal some serious damage, and I think I can take advantage of that. However, that toxicity might be a problem, so I think that's the mon he's gonna Terra, and if he gets some unexpected Terra, it might be troublesome. However, I think I have got the checks for whatever he might pull out. Now let's have a look at the team that we are bringing. So this is the team we are gonna be using this week. First up, we got Screamadelica, the Screamtail. It is our special move absorber this week. We have enough speed to outspeed max speed Baxcalibur, and the rest is on special defense and bulk. It has Perish Song to stop something from setting up too much, like a Sylveon with Calm Mind. We have Dazzling Gleam as our only damaging move. It probably won't do much to most of his stuff, but it can pick up a few things if we can't. We got a Barberry Berry just in case we need to take a hit from King Gambit. And finally, we have Wish Protect for sustainability, which will also help our next mon, our Iron Thorns. So we are going to run a defensive Iron Thorns this week. As I said, Toxicity is a very big threat for our team, and Iron Thorn resists both of his stab and also Boom Burst. So it's quite a good check for it this week. Unless it runs something like Terra Ground, we should be fine. Iron Thorns is also gonna be our Terramon for the week. We are running Terra Steel on it. We probably won't Terra it because its typing is very useful for stopping Toxtricity and also Rotom. However, just in case if we do Terra it, we are running Terra Steel just for Sylveon. It is our rocker for the week. We have Earthquake for Toxtricity. If it does not Terra, Volt Switch for some momentum, and I change Body Press for Iron Head last moment to do some solid damage to Sylveon even when we do Terra Steel. Next up, we got Dondozo. As we said, our opponents have big physical threats, and we got a Dondozo which can wall most of them except the electric types, and we got Thorns for that. Still, we are max PDF since we don't need much of physical defense to take most hits. We got cards for setup, liquidation, and body press hits his whole team neutrally, and we got rest for sustenance. Quagsire and Dozo facing each other will be a standstill, but I think we can stall out his recovers faster before it can stall out our rest. Next up is our main source of offense for this week, our Great Tusk. So we are running an AV Tusk with Close Combat, Headlong Rush, Rapid Spin, and Stone Edge. Headlong Rush and Close Combat can two-shot his whole team with some good damage rolls. Even max defense, Quagsire and Appleton has a chance to get knocked out by 2 hits. Only thing that resists both is Scyther, and it will get obliterated by the Stone Edge. Next up, we got Gengar. We are running a sub-Willow Gengar this week with Surge Bomb and Hex. We can touch King Gambit with this set, but however, we have other mons that can switch in and deal with King Gambit, so we don't have to worry about it a lot. Even if at least we can burn the King Gambit if needed. And our final mon is gonna be a Cyclizar. So we are running a Scarf Cyclizar this week for speed control. Our opponent's fastest mon is Scyther, so we can afford to run an Adamant Scarf and basically outspeed his whole team. We got U-turn for pivoting, Double Edge and Dragon Claw for stab moves, and Power Whip just for the Quagsire. So this is gonna be the team that we're gonna use this week. Now let's head on to our battle. So here we are in the battle. Our opponent's team is on the right, so we can see he has brought the Quagsire, the Toxtricity, the Sylveon, the King Gambit, the Baxcalibur, and the Scyther. So he did not bring the Ableton, which is one of the better checks for our Great Tusk, so that's good for us. So here we lead with the Cyclizar since it outspeed his whole team, and we can just U-turn out on his lead and switch into whatever we see fit. So just decide to go for liquidation to do some damage on this thing. It goes for Hyper Voice. As you can see, you can probably take 2 more, and we go for the liquidation and get a defense drop. So here we can just go for another liquidation, which probably might be a roll to kill this Sylveon. However, if it just goes for Hyper Voice, we're gonna be very low, so we just decide to preserve our Dondozo and go for a rest. I thought he would most likely switch out here. But he just decides to go for Hyper Voice, put us in red, but we are just gonna rest and heal back up. However, this gives the Sylveon 2 turns of free turns, so it just probably just gonna wish up and get back to full health. But however, our Dozo is very important, so we just can't get rid of it. So as we said, it just wishes up, but that also lets us burn 1 turn of our sleep. He decides to go for another Hyper Voice, and we burn our 2nd turn of sleep. Now since we are +1 and the Sylveon is -1 defense, so we can probably do some good damage on the Sylveon, and we can still take 2 more Hyper Voice, so we don't have to rest immediately. And he Hyper Voices again, we wake up and go for a liquidation, and it does around 35-40%, so it definitely didn't kill the Sylveon that time. However, it got another defense drop, so I'm definitely expecting it to switch out soon. However, we are again in that we cannot take 2 more Hyper Voices, so we have to again just rest back to health. And yeah, he did switch out and decides to go on the Baxcalibur, and we go for a rest to get our health back. Now we have to burn our 2 turns of sleep again, but I'm not worried too much of this Baxcalibur setting up since we are unaware, but it decides just to go for Grave Rush, and as you can see that did a lot of damage. It almost did like half of our health, so we are definitely not taking 2 of these hits, and this Baxcalibur is definitely a banded Baxcalibur. So we do have a fairy type, so we can just switch out to our Screen Tail, which is gonna be immune, and we definitely have to switch out next turn. So yeah, he goes for the Grave Rush again, and we are immune to that Grave Rush. So here I can just freely fire off a Dazzling Gleam to do some damage to whatever comes in. So he decides to go back to the Quagsire, and we fire of a dazzling gleam, and it does a small chunk. We are a scream tail, we don't have good offense. So now we decide to go back to the Dondozo so we can just burn some of our save turns again. Since this Quagsire is not doing much to our Dondozo anyway. So yeah, so we switch out to our Dondozo again, and my opponent here just pulls a smart double. He's probably go back to the toxicity, so no, he goes back into the Sylveon here. So we still have one more sweep turns to burn, and we probably can take 2 more hyper voices, but if he crits one of them, we're gonna be in trouble. So I decide not to stay with my Dondozo and just switch out to our Iron Thorns. Thorns should be able to take a hyper voice pretty decently at least. So yeah, we sent out our Iron Thorns, and Sylveon uses hyper voice and it does get a crit, so we are very lucky to make that call and switch out to our Iron Thorns, but we would take that pretty well since we are fully speed invested. So now I decide to just go for the Terra Steel to take the Sylveon on and get the rocks up again. Since that back Skyrival is banded, it's definitely appreciated to give that as much cheap as possible. So here you just go for the Terra Steel and just take less damage for the Sylveon, so you can just set up rocks one turn and do some damage the next turn. So we just set up our rocks again, and the Sylveon is gonna go for Psychic. Probably expected the switch into the Gengar, but yeah, we take that very easily. Now here can just go for a Terra Steel Iron Head. It's probably not gonna kill since we have no offense investment, but gonna do a chunk. So just go for the Iron Head, and you can see it does over 50%. And this Sylveon probably thought it gonna have a free turn to set up, so it just calm minded, but now it's in the range of another Iron Head. So this Sylveon is definitely gonna switch out next turn, and so but the thing is, I think it's gonna switch out to the Quagsire, so I can't even vote switch on that thing, so I just decide to go for another Iron Head to deal some damage to the Quagsire. So we go for another Iron Head. It's probably not gonna do a lot. Yeah, it doesn't do a lot to the Quagsire, but we do get some health back with our leftovers. Now we can decide to switch out to the Cyclizar, thinking he might double again. So now we can just U-turn out on anything he brings here. So we go back into our Cyclizar, and as I said, he did double again, and he goes back to the stock 650, probably expecting the Dozo switching again. We are scarfed and our speed is hot, so we are, even if that thing is scarfed, we can just U-turn out safely. So we just go for the U-turn, do some bit of health, and we decide to go back to the Iron Thorns. It's probably just gonna vote switch out, but So yeah, he definitely just vote switches out. We don't resist electric types anymore, so it did a more, but we still can take another hit from the toxicity probably. So he sends out the Scyther again. So now here I was thinking he probably is gonna just defog the rocks out again. So I can probably just force switch out to something. So I just go for the force switch, but he just decides to knock me out with a close combat. So yeah, so we use our Iron Thorns and our Rocker. But yeah, we probably should be fine. So I just decide to go to our Gengar, since he probably doesn't know what type of Gengar I am, so he's probably just gonna switch out. And I decide to go for him. We will wish to burn this thing if he decides to stay in, or if it switches out to something like a Quagsire, expecting a Thunderbolt. So yeah, he switches out and he decides to go to his Sylveon. Probably he just wants to sack the Sylveon since it's very low health and it cannot wish up on most of my mons. So we get the Weevil burn on the Sylveon, but yeah, it doesn't matter at this point because the Sylveon is gonna get knocked out by a hit anyway. So he doesn't have a King Gambit anymore, so he can just really quick Surge Bomb and knock out a thing. If this thing, or if it decides to switch out, you can just do some damage. So yeah, just Surge Bomb and knock out the Sylveon. So he decides to bring in the Toxtricity again. So the way he brought it out on the Toxtricity, that makes me definitely feel that this thing is scarfed, because we always threaten him to Shadow Ball and he knows we are not choice swapped. So I just decide to go to my Psychizer. Since it's Terra Blast, we do resist the Terra Blast and we can just regain health back if he decides to go for some other move. So he just goes for a Volt Switch. And he's gonna bring in the Scyther. So we cannot KO this Scyther or stop it from defogging, so yeah, we just have to U-turn out. He's probably just gonna remove the rocks, but yeah, we don't have any ways to stop that from happening. So we just go to our Scream Tail, which is bulky enough to take a hit or two from this Scyther. So yeah, it just defogs the rocks, but as we said, we had no way to stop the defog from happening. So here I just go for a wish, probably to try to heal up my Dozo, since it got a bit chunked by the Backstabber and I probably needed full health to deal with the Backstabber if I want to deal with it. And he goes back to his Quagsire and I just get up a wish. We are at high enough health, so we don't probably have to wish up our Scream Tail, so we just go to our Dondozo. He's probably gonna pull another double, expecting the switch, but we still have enough switchings for his mons left. So yeah, so we just switch out back to our Dondozo. And he just goes for a recover to get his health back, and we get the wish back and go back to full health. So we just go for the body press. I forgot how many sip turns I have burned, so we probably have another sip turn to burn. So I just go for a move, and yeah, we have another sick turn to burn. So now our switching for this thing is our great task. It's heavy, so it should be able to take a hit pretty well. And he just decides to go for a surge bomb, and yes, we are heavy and we resist the hit, so it doesn't do a lot. Now I just decide to go for head-on rush, expecting the Quacksire to come in, and if you get a good roll, you should be able to two-shot the Quacksire. So we fire off a head-on rush, and as you can see, it did 50% of its health, so it definitely able to two-shot this thing. Yeah, I don't try to predict the Scyther switching, because if it just stays in, then it's gonna be more problematic, and I can deal with the Scyther anyway, so I just go for another headlong rush, hoping to kill this thing. And yeah, he just stays in, and our Great Tusk was able to knock out the Quacksire. So he goes back to the Scyther now. So we are at -2 defense. We are definitely not taking ARS pretty well. So I decide to go back to my Scream Tail. And he just decides to return out. And he sends the toxicity back in. So we know that this thing is probably scarfed, so I just go for protect and scout what it wants to lock itself into, and then you can switch out accordingly. So you just protect, and he goes for the Terra Burst. So now we can just switch in back to our Cyclizer, since it will resist the Terra Burst, and if we just switch out, we can just return out into something again. So yeah, he switches out, and he switches out before my Scream Tail, so that definitely tells me it's the Scarf Toxicity. And he goes back to his backstabber, and I sent out my Cyclizer. So he's definitely not in the range of a Dragon Claw here. I just think he's just gonna go for an offensive move and not an Ice Shard. Ice Shard probably KOs me. I have like no bulk, but I still decide to go just for the U-turn, thinking he'll probably pick something else. Yeah, so we didn't click Ice Shard, which is good for us, and we just return out. And at this point the base switching is the Dondozo, and he decides just to go for Grave Rush, and that did a lot. So that definitely is a banded Excalibur, and our Dondozo can take 2 hits from it unless we are cast up, but we still have our Scream Tail in the back, so we can just switch into it. And he, predicting the Scream Tail, he just goes back to the Toxicity, while I switch out into my Scream Tail. But since it's choice work, we can just protect again to scout out for what he wants to go for. But he predicting my protect, I guess he just doubles out again, and this time into the scyther. So my health is a low now, so I definitely have to wish up my sprinter now, so I just go for the wish, and he just decides to go for a U-turn. And he switches in his back Excalibur, and we get our wish off. Since this thing is banded, we definitely don't take whatever it has stored for us, so we just go for protect to get our health back. And it just goes for an ice shard, and we now be at a decent amount of health, probably to better handle this thing. But it's off to ice shard, it's probably not gonna do a lot. So now I just gonna get a free turn to click a dazzling gleam onto something, and he goes to his toxicity scyther now, and we get a decent chip with dazzling gleam. So here he either goes for an attack or he turns out, but he just goes for an attack, and you can see he can take 2 of these, so we just wish up again, and we don't even need to protect since it's not gonna do KO us. So yeah, he just goes out for the U-turn, and he's probably just gonna switch in the toxicity since he knows that we are going for a move, and that move is probably dazzling green. So yeah, he just switching his toxicity. You can put some damage on that thing again, so do a decent chunk with the crit. Yeah, but it was probably a 2-shot anyway, so it probably didn't matter a lot. Now we can just protect again to see what this thing wants to go for. So just going for Surge Bomb now. So now I'm thinking that yeah, I can definitely switch in my Gengar here, since Surge Bomb is not gonna do much to it. It's 4x resisted, and I can just set up a sub and try to deal with his mons in the back. So yeah, I switch out Scream Tail into the Gengar, and he just kicks Surge Bomb again, and we get a Cursed Body Disable. Not that we needed it, but yeah, that means we are definitely getting a free sub, because this thing either has to switch out or just struggle and KO itself, and since it's faster, we're gonna get a sub up. And yeah, it's scarfed and it just struggles and fends itself to recoil damage, while we can safely get our sub off. So my opponent doesn't have a lot of options left anymore. He goes back to his scyther, and I just decide to go for damage with a Surge Bomb at this point. And we fire off a Surge Bomb, and we almost kill that thing. Didn't get a poison, but it's gonna get knocked out next time anyway. So the scyther just breaks my sub with area race. And we can just fire off another Surge Bomb and KO this thing now. And now he brings out his final on the back Excalibur. I decide not to switch out to preserve differentiate. I just go for an attack, and we fire off a Surge Bomb and get a poison, and see what it tries locks itself into. It just goes for an EQ and kills my Gengar. cars body box again and disables the earthquake. So at this point we can just go into any of my mon and just knock out this thing. Since it's just gonna struggle again, I just decide to go to my cyclizer to get this thing knocked out, since it's definitely faster than that backstabber. So yeah, we just click Dragon Claw and knock this thing out. Yeah, Dragon Claw will knock out this backstabber and give us a 4-4 win for our week 1. GG's to my opponents, he played very well, but as we said, we had a very good matchup here. So yeah, we'll be back next week for our next battle. Bye.